And we are live. What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson. Today, I am currently by myself, but we're going to have a couple of guest stars, not even guest stars, my co hosts really, joining us in just a couple minutes. I know Collin and Will are both running late, but they will be joining us as we preview tonight's game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. But to everyone watching, welcome. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a notification. To all the viewers watching, once again, be sure to leave your thoughts and any questions you want answered down in the comment section, or I guess the live comments, and I'll pull them up here on the screen so we can discuss everything about the New York Rangers. Doesn't even have to be about tonight's matchup against Toronto, just anything in general that you want to hear us discuss over here at Fireside Rangers. But welcome everyone that is tuning in. I see we got a couple people here in the chat. The Rangers do play against the Toronto Maple Leafs in about 1 hour, so we'll be answering questions and previewing everything leading up. But all right, we got Wayne here in the chat already. We have maple syrup. It should be a sweet victory. Let's go Rangers. You know, it should be a sweet victory. You know, Toronto is a pretty solid team. I think they're currently third in the Atlantic Division. I'm going to pull that up really quick and check that out as well, just to make sure. Yeah, they are. So Toronto is 14-6-5. The Rangers, obviously, 19-6-1. So statistically speaking, the Rangers are the favorites to win this game. They are the better team. Rangers second overall in the entire NHL. They're only, 4 points behind Vegas, but with 3 games in hand, because for some reason Vegas just has the craziest schedule and they've played the most games out of like any team in the entire NHL. But it has been an overwhelmingly solid season from the Rangers. We know that the last couple of weeks, the play hasn't been perfect. It's been a little shaky over the last few weeks. The defense in particular, the goaltending, Jonathan Quick has been elite. Igor Shesterkin, who I am repping tonight, which I believe he is in net. I'm not 100% certain on that one, though. If anyone has any more info on that, drop that in the live chat. But the Rangers did bounce back with a huge win just the other night. So it kind of seems like the Rangers might be back. The defense was great. Quick was great. They beat the Los Angeles Kings. And now we're going up against the Maple Leafs. So it's going to be an entertaining one, definitely. We know that as long as the defense is doing pretty good, and whoever the goaltender is, I think the Rangers do have a very good shot at walking away from this game with a victory. I know in terms of the defense, K'Andre Miller has been ruled out of tonight's game due to personal reasons. There hasn't been really any details revealed about what's going on with him. Peter Laviolette didn't comment anything. He wouldn't say if he was only missing just this one game or if it'd be more of a long-term one. But we'll see what happens. We do have Collin pulling up here, not talking about the Giants. There's How you doing, Collin?
I'm good. I was like, oh, new graphics? And then I realized wrong team. Right colors, though.
I wasn't sure if you or Will were going to arrive to the stream first, so I have both of them ready to go. Just the Will and then the Collin. And then, of course, when Will gets here, I do have the trio one ready to go as well. But I was just discussing K'Andre Miller. I don't know if you saw, but he was ruled out of tonight's game for personal reasons. But I guess we'll see what happens. Like, I don't know if you heard me, but we don't know if it's just going to be one game, if it's going to be an extended leave of absence. But I don't know. K'Andre Miller is one of those defensemen that he's been pretty good, I would say, in the top couple of defensemen we have. He hasn't been perfect. He's had games where I'm like, all right, Miller, like, what are you doing out here? But I think overall he's a pretty solid addition to the defensive core. We're definitely going to miss him tonight against a very offensive Toronto team. And then that kind of makes you wonder, like, Gustafsson probably going to be playing with Trouba, then Zach Jones back in. So what are your thoughts on that whole situation?
I mean, it's not my favorite, but there's not really a whole lot we could do about it. Obviously, if they're giving him a night for personal reasons, it's probably something pretty serious. So I'm not going to really dive too much into that. I'm not going to dissect what I think is going on. I'm just going to hope that everything's all right and hope that he comes back soon. But, I don't hate Gustafsson playing with Trouba. I think Trouba is a really good lockdown guy, and I think it could be intriguing to put a guy like Gustafsson with the offensive upside that he has next to him. But I am a little concerned with Zach Jones coming back in the lineup. I know that he didn't start off as hot as we would have liked, but he turned on a little bit down the stretch and was playing some better hockey as he got acclimated to the NHL. But like I've said it a million times, he's not a guy I want to see at the NHL level too often. But in short spurts, I guess we can manage.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the recent time when Zach Jones was up, he was always really 50-50. Like there were times when I was like, okay, this kid's good. He's having a great game. He's putting up a lot of points. And then there were other times when I was like, damn, like him and Schneider do not look good together, which is strange because they're both very good young defensemen. We got a comment here that says Gustafsson is too slow for top line minutes. He is a little slow, but at the same time, he does produce a lot of points. I mean, I don't have his season totals pulled up right here, but he's one of the leading point scorers on the Rangers, definitely in the defensive category with the amount of time that Fox was out. So, I mean, what he plays on the left side, right? Gustafsson?
I believe he's right.
Right. So, I mean,
no, you might be right. I don't know. I get him confused all the time.
Could he theoretically play with Fox? Is that I don't know.
I don't know how an all offense line would do it. I mean, Fox has good defense, but he's like, he's more offense than defense. So I don't know that I'll touch on that line. I think that while he is slow, I think Trouba will help mask the liabilities that he does have when he plays. Just the same way that Schneider has kind of helped, and the way that Lindgren did when they were playing together. So I don't think that's too big of a concern.
Yeah, I did think about it. At first I had the thought of like Fox and Gustafsson would be like the most insane offensive defensive line ever. But then it dawned on me like, wait, that would mean Lindgren and Fox wouldn't be playing together, and I don't want to touch that at all. We got more discussion on it here. Gustafsson's been on 7 teams in 5 years for a reason. And, that is true. And I think throughout his career, he's had his ups and downs, but it's kind of hard to deny what he has been doing so far this season. I did pull it up. He's 7th on the team in point totals. He has 15 points in 26 games, 2nd in defenseman behind Adam Fox, of course, because even though Adam Fox missed like 10 games, he's still just cooking, putting up points left and right. But I don't know. I like Gustafsson. You can't deny that he's been really good for the Rangers so far this season. Pavel, welcome back. He thinks that the Rangers should play VC on the first line instead of Wheeler. Right now, I'm rocking with the Brodzinski train up there on the first line. I think Brodzinski's been pretty solid. I know when he was first called up, a lot of fans were getting angry, being like, come on, like, where's Brennan Othman, blah, 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 blah. But people forget Johnny Brodzinski was leading the AHL in points at the time he was called up. If there was any clear answer of who it should be Brodzinski. And he's scoring points, scoring goals. He had a crazy goal that ended with like a front flip against the Kings last game. But Collin, how do you feel about Brodzinski, VC on the first line, that whole thing?
I'll say I'm not trying to touch that bottom 6. I like the way that they've been playing. I think VC's working well with the guys he's playing with, so I'm going to let him continue to churn down on that line because I don't want to bring him up and throw off the chemistry that they got going on. And Brodzinski has been playing well. I think you said it best. He's came up and he's kind of made his way seamlessly into the NHL. He already, in way fewer games, has way more points than I think both Wheeler and Kakko did when they were playing on that first line. So I think that he's slid in nicely and he's doing as good of a job as he could, given, the amount of NHL time that he's had and the amount of time that he's played with these guys. Like, he didn't really practice with these guys a ton before the injuries and whatnot, obviously, because he's not getting practice time with the first line. Like, that's not something that we typically would use him for. He's normally a bottom 6 guy. I mean, we saw him last year in a limited bottom 6 role when players went down. So, I'm welcome to the idea of him stepping up to that role and keeping the hot hand on that first line. And you'll love to see it, love getting contributions from the guys who you don't expect it from. And I think that's the great thing about the Rangers is you can have that conversation when you're getting production from a guy like VC. And then Brodzinski comes out of nowhere. And I mean, I know he's been tearing up the AHL. The AHL and the NHL, as we've noticed, are very different. Julian Gauthier was an AHL god, and he's an NHL, like, he's still finding his footing and things like that. So, while there are similarities, the leagues are still so different. And just because you dominate one does not guarantee anything in the other. So I'm happy to see that he's found his footing and he's making a name for himself.
Yeah, I think that's also an argument you can make about Brendan Othman because he's excelled in every single league that he's played in. And this is his first year in the professional hockey world. And yeah, in like, I don't know how many games the Wolfpack have played, probably like 20 something. And however many games he's played there, he's looked really good. But again, he's only has like that specific number of games under his belt in the world of professional hockey in the AHL. And that doesn't mean that if he gets the call up to the NHL that he's just going to continue to excel. I still am in agreement that as much as I love Othman and I'm getting like a little impatient about seeing him wear a Rangers jersey, we do have to remain patient and kind of just let him play this whole year out down in the AHL with Hartford, and then maybe next year we'll have a spot to call him up. But right now I'm rocking with Brodzinski. Maybe even VC. I like what you kind of said, though. Keep the bottom six the same. They're cooking, playing really good. Just stick with Brodzinski. The injuries that the team won't stay there forever. Kakko and Hedl are going to come back. If we want to keep Trocheck as the second-line center, which I think most people are leaning towards, then maybe put Hedl on that wing up there. But I don't know. We'll move on here in the chat. We got a lot of comments. Hey, Courtney, what's going on? How do you guys feel about the teamwork and the passing? The chemistry of the team is an interesting one because a lot of games the Rangers come in and they're connecting passes and they look really, really good and they look like they've been playing together their whole lives. And then there's other games where they kind of come in and passes aren't being connected whatsoever and the whole thing kind of falls apart. And I think the greatest example of that was that last game against Buffalo. But it's very 50-50. I'm going to pause for a second here to welcome Will to the stage. I know it's a little messed up. Give me a second here. Boom. Hey, Will.
What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Thank you. Back from football practice. It was cold, and I wasn't happy.
And the Wi-Fi already ain't working.
Wait, of course it's not.
We heard you. It's just we heard you, and then your mouth moved.
Oh, of course it did. It's like
you're good right
in
now.
GTA when like your character's mouth moves in like a cutscene or something, and then you hear it afterwards. That's me right now.
It's happening live, right?
Yeah, it's live. Except it's real life and not in GTA, not a video game.
Someone start the counter in the comment section. How many times has Will's Wi-Fi shut down throughout the live?
I'm gonna start that. Will Wi-Fi shut down?
But let's see. We got a lot of comments here about Wheeler. Blake Wheeler's an anchor for the first line. Wheels is slow. He's slowing down the first line. But then we got the one supporter here in the comments. The Giants thing is going to pop up every time I click it, so I'm sorry about that.
I didn't even know.
Hey, now Wheels is due tonight. So this is definitely the most controversial thing that we like storyline that we've had this season. Me and Will are the biggest anti-Blake Wheeler fans to like ever exist, but Collin has just been riding him all season. So
trying to hold out hope, man. I'm trying to hold out hope.
He's terrible, dude.
He's so bad.
I don't even want him on the fourth line at this point. I think when Kakko comes back, he just goes right back onto the third line. Trade deadline, Rangers go out and get someone for the first line, Lafreniere on the second, and then like just keep Pitlick on the fourth, trade away Wheeler or send him down the AHL. I don't know anything about his contract and or if there's a no trade clause or anything, but I don't like him. And Collin, I know you'll disagree, so just have at it.
I'm not even gonna disagree. He's been playing real rough.
We've won.
He was coming along for a little bit. He was stringing together a couple of games where he was getting primary assists, and it seemed like things were starting to click. And then the wheels fell off the wagon. No pun intended. I'm hoping that he can turn it around, but I'm slowly losing hope. And I look back to an article that I wrote when I actually was asked when I was trying to join Empire Sports Media. And it was my favorite article that I wrote, and it was a Blake Wheeler article. And I was like, this is going to be great. This guy got 55 points last year. He's aging like fine wine. Guy has fallen off a cliff so far this season, and I don't know if it's salvageable at this point. But I'm not selling out entirely. I don't know that I want him off the team. I'm okay with putting him on that third line and maybe giving Kakko another shot. But, it depends on what they do with the deadline. Until then, I'll probably put Kakko back on that first line, put Wheeler on the third, and leave everything else untouched. As much as I love Brodzinski, I don't know. I don't want to keep him in the NHL unless he continues to play like crazy. I think he's more of an AHL guy. I think he's a leader down on that AHL team for a lot of those young players. and those up and coming guys. I believe he's the captain, or he was the captain. So
Yeah, he's
you know,
captain down there.
so I'm not trying to displace all that. So I'm trying to stick with what was working before. Not that it's not working now, but obviously we've had our hiccups. Whether that is, once Kaka went down in that Sabres game, everything kind of unraveled. And then, not saying he's the sole reason, obviously, because there was a lot of people at fault for that loss. And then that Caps game was ugly. The Sens game was ugly. Like, we've had some ugly losses since we've lost Kaka. And I think that's a big testament to what he brings to the game defensively. And I think a lot of that goes unsung because you don't see the points coming along. So that's my take on that. And as for Wheeler, try and hang on to an NHL job as long as you can, but your days are numbered, my man.
Hey man, it's okay to be wrong. There was a point during the offseason this year where we discussed what if the Rangers could possibly trade away Panarin if he continues to play bad this season, and then look at what happened. Will looks horrified by that realization.
I think that was before he joined.
Yeah, it was all just speculation of like, what if Panarin's playoff woes continued into the season? Should they just look to capitalize on it? I was always against it. I think Tony was more of a advocate for it, but I don't remember for sure. That was months ago. And thank God that the Rangers didn't watch that video and consider the option, because obviously, what would we be without Artemi Panarin? But Edwin, welcome to the stream. I think for at least this one, because the graphics being buggy, I'm not going to pull the comments up, but I'll still shout out everyone's names down here. S Flat says, passing out of the zone sucks. Trouba never connects and he ices often. I have to agree and disagree. I think the passing out of the zone, and especially over the last few games, has been pretty bad. I think against LA, it was better, still not perfect. And, Trouba is a big part of that. But at the same time, I do love Jacob Trouba, and I think he's having probably his best season as a New York Ranger. I think last year was his worst. And then this year he's come in, he's been a great captain. He's making hits, he's making plays. And I'm big on Trouba right now. Will, you haven't really had time to speak yet this stream, so I'll let you go off on Trouba however you feel.
I'm big on Trouba this year. He started this year very well. He has 12 points, 2 goals, 10 assists. His defense is a lot better. And last year I don't know if he was he wasn't healthy to start last year, but and it really showed. He was terrible last year in that first couple months of the season and the helmet throw. And then we know they kind of got going. But I think Trouba's defense this year is really helping the Rangers. Well, when they were performing well, was helping the Rangers a lot better, because you had Lindgren, Fox, Trouba, and Miller all playing great defense. But now that it doesn't really matter anymore, because that's out the window now that they're playing crappy defense. But I think Trouba has been a huge reason of why the Rangers have been successful in this first couple months of the year.
Yeah, I agree. I think, yes, they were playing really bad defense recently, but at that game against LA, I think it was good.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say we're back just yet, because it was like one game and it can completely unravel again tonight, but we'll see. Hopefully that doesn't happen, which, by the way, this is my public apology. Last live stream we did, when I said, I was like, oh, like, God forbid the Rangers go and get shut out. And then I knocked on wood. I guess I didn't knock hard enough because we got shut out that game. So that's my formal apology. I'm just going to stop saying things about the potential outcome of games, because it seems like I always jinx it. Will was mad at me. He was angry.
So mad. Actually, I didn't even watch the end of that game, dude. I was out of it.
Yeah. It was a rough one, but we move on. Kill Gill says, D up for Igor, for Pete's sake. I still don't know who's confirmed starting goaltender. Does anyone know?
I'd imagine it's Igor.
I would imagine it is. I don't know for sure. Wayne says, no stupid penalties tonight. That's absolutely true. The Rangers just keep finding themselves in the box for reasons that I can't explain. Roderick has the best comment of the night so far. He says, turn Will's Wi-Fi into a drinking game. We should definitely adapt that for the next
true.
I want to remember the game, man.
If that happens, we are not going. We're going to forget to end the stream and then just not watch the game. We'll just sit and talk here all night.
Oh, bro, Igor is in net, by the way.
Okay,
Yeah.
which I'm happy about, because that's another thing I did want to touch upon, because everyone who keeps saying like, oh, at what point do we consider like a goaltending change, like let Quick get all the starts and stuff. Like, yeah, Quick has been playing really good. He's been out of his mind. 8-0-1, hasn't lost in regulation yet. But like, Igor also hasn't played bad. His stats are still decent. They're just not what we're used to seeing. And I think there's a huge difference between the way that the Rangers play defense between Igor and Quick. Like, next time Quick gets a start, pay attention to the defense and just watch how perfect they are. And not to like undermine Quick's abilities, but he certainly has a little bit of an easier job than when Shesterkin's playing, and the defense is just pylons that he's facing like 3-on-1s like 30 times a game. So I don't know. Like, when people say there should be a goaltending switch already, I immediately I'm just like, no. But I don't know how you two feel about it.
You know, I agree. I think that there's a lot of things that don't get into it. And I think that if you look, I think you put it best, the Rangers kind of have that comfortability when Igor's in net, and they're like, oh, he's bailed us out before. He won a Vezina by bailing us out for an entire season and dragging our ass to a conference final. Like, he's done it. He's taken the Rangers way farther than they should have multiple times. And so, you know, I'm not even going to say that he's not on his A game anymore, because I've been saying this for a minute. The defense it's the same thing that happened when Hank was in net versus when Talbot was in net. It was they would play so much better for the backup than they would for the starter, because time and time again, the starter proved that they could go above and beyond and steal games. But it shouldn't have to get to a point where they're stealing games. They should just help both the goalies out. I think that if Quick were to become the starter, I think you'd see his numbers take a dip. One, because obviously you're getting more playing time, but two, because like they'd start to get a little too comfortable with him and they know what he could do and things like that. And I think that the spot starts are really good for him, and it helps, especially with how old he is now. Not saying that he's the oldest, obviously. I think he's only, how old is he? Like 30, like 34? I could be lowball on that.
Wait, we're talking about Igor
Quick.
He's like 37, dude, or 38.
37.
Well, so he's getting up there, but he's turning back the clocks and playing well. But I think that a starting role could have diminished his play just because of how old that he is. And I think that this is Igor's team. It's been Igor's team. Igor was here when we were asked, and he's here now that we're good. And I'm not going to take that away from him. He sat through a lot of bad defense and carried us a lot farther than we should have multiple times, as I said before. And I think now that we have a decent team, they should play the same night in and night out, no matter who's in net, because I think he's earned that right.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Collin right there. I think this team, and it kind of goes back to us as fans as well. I can kind of make this analogy. Like, the fans, we expect Igor to just bail us out every night. And I think the defense does the same thing. Like, I can tell myself that, and I know a lot of other people can tell as well, that the defense plays so much worse in front of Igor because they just think that he'll bail them out every single game, which that's not the case. You can't just go in thinking, all right, my goalie is a Vezina winner and still a Vezina caliber goaltender. He's just going to do everything for us. That's not the case. Like, if you leave him out to dry, like that Sonny Milano goal, like they were just puck watching the entire time. Like, Igor might have been able to save it, but there's a damn chance it was a better chance that he wasn't than that he wasn't. I mean, he's not like Mr. Fantastic. He's not going to stretch his entire body over there on that post to post, but I just think this team has to realize that Igor's not going to bail them out every single night. That's not how it's going to be anymore. Like, you have to play in front of him.
Yeah, it's the way that it is. And it's frustrating to see, because then it hurts the team, and then it hurts the confidence of the fans. And then we have people calling for Igor's job to be like on the line. And I'm like, no, dude, it's Igor, man. You can't do that. But I'm glad we're all in agreement with that. This should be an interesting discussion here. Kill Gill asked, what do you all think of the third jersey? We had a little bit of, I think, Collin, it was me and you, and we had like the fashionista episode of Fireside Rangers where we just critiqued the jersey. I'm kind of in the middle on it. Like, I don't think it's terrible. Like, when I was seeing them be worn during the game against LA, I was like, these are all right. But every time I see a picture of it, I'm just like, why is that logo so damn big? I don't get it. Like,
the only thing bigger is the C. The C is
Yeah.
massive on the jerseys.
Actually,
They're growing on me. I know that in the beginning I was a little critical of them. I love the sleeves. I think the sleeves are sick.
the
I
sleeves are
love the
the coolest
navy.
part.
I think it looks really great with the helmet and the socks and the gloves and all of it thrown together. Will I be buying one of those jerseys? No chance, because I don't have the dope helmet to go with it. But I don't hate them. I think if they were to do something a little bit differently, as opposed to putting the crest on the chest, as I said before, I might like them a little bit more. But they were rumored to go back to the crest for a while now. It was only a matter of time. So if this is the iteration of it that we get, so be it. Put it back on the shelf and don't touch it again for a while. But I think that they look better in game than they did in like the pictures and all the promo for it. So that's my take on it.
I am in agreement with that. I feel like it sounds so good in theory. Like when that post the Rangers made that like describes what all the different aspects of it were like the stripes on the sleeve, were like the lights on MSG, and like the flashiness of the city. Like that sounds so cool. And like the subway on like the lining of the thing, it's like so cool. It's just the crest in the middle for me that bugs me out. And it's like the Lady Liberty just became so overused, but like what else do we have? It's just Lady Liberty, the word down going diagonally, and then just the crest. So it's like, I don't know, maybe we got to come up with something new. I'm not sure. Will, what's your take on it?
I love them since they were leaked. I think they got way too much hate just because the crest is a little too big. I will agree with that, but I think people were just overhating on that. I love them. It's a different, it's different. It's different than what we've gone in the past 2 third jerseys we've had. I heard people saying we should have used Lady Liberty again, but you've used that for 2 out of the last 3 years. So why would you go to that again? Like there's no point. I love them. I think they look great on the ice. I would have bought one, but I bought another jersey instead.
Ooh, what'd you get?
I got a Frederick Clayson gamer.
What a weird pick.
Well, I bought it and I sent it to someone. I got it stripped, and I'm gonna. They put Panarin on it for me, so because I don't have $3,000 to buy a Panarin game use jersey, so I thought, you know what, I'll go the cheap route.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Will Rangers play in the Stadium Series this season? Is it? Yeah. I guess we're gonna get another New Jersey this season for that. Which when is that? I don't even know what part of the year that is.
February
14th.
Mm-hmm.
It's on Valentine's
On
Day?
Valentine's Day?
Nope, never mind. I knew that was a significant date. I didn't know it was that.
I think it might be on the 12th or the 8th. It's the 8th or the 12th.
Well,
those feel like good dates to me. I don't know why.
Yeah,
no, February. It was February 18th or 17th.
Oh, damn! It had an 8 in it.
It's the 18th.
Right.
It's the 18th.
So there's still a decent time away. We're like 2.5 months away from that. So I'm sure we'll get to do another Fashionista episode at some point and just see what the Rangers cook up. JSK calling me crazy for saying, what else do we have? I know it's just I don't like the crest. I love Lady Liberty, but at what point does slapping that on a jersey and calling it special become unspecial? It's like everything is Lady Liberty nowadays. I don't know.
Everything's good in moderation. You don't want to kill the Lady Liberty, although they're so tough to kill just because they are so nice. But I think they should have done something similar to what they did for the, I believe it was the other Stadium Series when we played the Devils. They had like a different form of lettering.
Yeah,
and I thought that was like a nice touch. And like, there's a lot you could do with the lettering, or you could try it and change up the colors to the Lady Liberty if you really wanted to. I think that would be getting a little bold.
You could even put New York down the diagonal New York.
Yeah, true.
Like the old 2018.
Yeah.
Like that would be pretty cool. I just hit me. We're talking about how Lady Liberty's used too much, but like the graphic that we're using for the stream has like the outline of Lady Liberty just behind Will. Will is Lady Liberty. Whatever. We'll move on from the jersey discussion. We'll come back to it when the Stadium Series jerseys do get leaked. Let's see what's going on here. Roderick, back on the subject of goalies. Oh, sorry, I forgot I wasn't pulling them up. Quick is the present. Igor is still the present and future. Igor will be the playoff goalie to lead us to victory or bust. See, I've said that a lot, because my biggest fear in life right now is that the Rangers face the Kings again in the Stanley Cup Finals. I've said that a couple of times, And I'm always like, how cool would it be though to have Jonathan Quick like just come back and like clap his old team in the finals? But then I'm like, if for Quick to be starting in the Stanley Cup Finals, something absolutely terrible must have had to happen to Igor. But I do think that Igor will still be the playoff goalie no matter what. He's the guy, as we said in that whole discussion before. He's carried us, and he will do it again. Let's see what's going on here. Roderick did confirm as well that it is Sunday, February 18th against the Flyers. I thought we were playing the Islanders.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's
the
the
Devils are
Islanders.
playing the Flyers
The
on
Devils
Sunday.
are playing the Flyers.
Okay. Yeah, so we kind of just went through all the comments right there. I'm not sure. We still got like 15 minutes left. Will, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I'm writing a piece about Jonathan Quick right now, but I mean, we already talked about him. I don't know. I feel like we should talk about maybe Johnny
Trocheck?
Brodzinski.
Oh, that works too. Was he here for the Brodzinski part? I think he missed it.
Oh, I missed. Oh,
You
man.
might have missed the Brodzinski part, but I'll let you circle back to it. Me and Collin were saying that we're pretty satisfied with how he's been playing and how a lot of people were mad that he got called up over Othman, but can't really deny the fact that the AHL leading scorer deserves a chance. I'm just going to keep talking until Will unfreezes. We can make that number 3. Collin, what did you say you want to talk about?
Vinny Trocheck, baby. That's my man. But I'll let him go now that he's back.
All right, I'll be quick about Brodzinski. He's been everything that this Rangers first line has needed when he's up when he's playing up there with them. He's a shoot first mentality guy. He's almost like a Frank Vetrano light, not exactly like him, but they both shoot the puck and they're willing to shoot the puck from anywhere. And that's really what that first line needed, was just anyone willing to shoot anywhere, create chances. And he's been awesome for the Rangers. I don't think I know we talked about this before, Eric, a couple episodes ago. He's not a long-term situation, but for right now, I think he's perfect for this team.
Yeah, definitely not long-term solution to the problem for the first line. Rangers definitely need to find a more like 100% reliable guy game in and game out. But until the trade deadline happens, I don't know. I'm sure it's fine. Collin, I'm going to let you talk about Trocheck, but first, there's a couple people, Joe, Kilgill in the chat asking where's Keandre Miller? Oh, yeah, you already went and answered it. Obviously, we're not going to speculate on anything going on. No one knows if it's just tonight or a couple games, but whatever's going on with Miller, it's not injury related. Hope that everything's all good over there.
With Keandre.
Yeah, and hopefully he'll be back soon.
Yeah, but to get on my favorite player currently, Vinny Trocheck, getting the jersey, it has to happen. He's been playing lights out this season. He's, I think, 2 points under a point per game. He's more than halfway to the assists that he had last year. He's almost a fourth of the way to the goals. So I think he's on pace to get around the same number of goals, but he's on pace to blow out the number of assists he had. He had 3 primary assists in that Kings game. He's just been an absolute force, and I think that it's showing. I think that it's not even you can't even just attribute it to playing with Panarin, like how we used to say, oh, Strom's doing so well, but you put Strom on a line with other people, he's probably not going to play that well. Or, Kopp's numbers were really vaulted when he was playing with Panarin. So playing with Panarin will have that effect. But I think Trocheck has also just taken, like, Laviolette's system and, like, made the best of it. And he's thriving in this role now. He took this 2C back and he's ran with it. I don't want to see him anywhere near the bottom 6 because he's playing so good right now. And, it's crazy to think that we might not have seen this from Trocheck had Hedl not gotten hurt. And I'm not saying that it's a good thing that Hedl got hurt. Obviously, it sucks because I'd love to see him on the team right now. But, like, it may have been a blessing in disguise because Trocheck has he's brought another level to his game that I don't know where he found it, but I hope he keeps it for the rest of his time here because, and there was a quote saying if you were to ask Laviolette for, like, players to base a system around or, like, players that he would want to play for him, it's guys like VC, it's guys like Trocheck, guys who are afraid to get in the nitty or aren't afraid to get in the nitty gritty areas, but also have that touch of skill to them where they can bat a puck out of the air like Jimmy VC, or they can make those crazy passes like Trocheck has done. And I think as long as he can keep it up, playing at that level, even if Panarin isn't playing as strong as he was in the beginning, I think that second line will continue to hum, and I think that that power play will continue to look good. I think that there's just a lot of good coming from Trocheck right now, and anything he touches seems to be turning into gold.
Yeah, I'm 100% on the side of the argument that when Hedl comes back from injury, he just needs to be demoted to the third line and keep Trocheck on that second. It's nothing against Hedl. In the games that he did play in, he looked great. He never scored a goal, but he had 10 points, I think it was, which was at the time good because that we weren't too many games into the season. But I kind of said it earlier as well, where if the Rangers are still really struggling on the right wing, when Hedl comes back, maybe keep Trocheck as the 2C and see if you can maybe help Hedl transition to the wing and play with Kreider and Zibanejad. I'm not really sure, but Will, you weren't here for that discussion. So what are your thoughts on that? Potentially when Hedl comes back, moving him to a wing.
I don't know. They've tried it once before. They tried it in the 2021-22 season, and I don't know if I'd like to go back to that. I think he's a very good center, but I know, like you said, if we have right wing problems, that's probably your best option because he's kind of built like a winger. He was never really built like a center just because he's tall, but he's not very thick, like you see Zibanejad and Trocheck. But I could definitely see them going back and doing that if they don't have enough cap space at the deadline. I mean, I don't think it'd be the worst because Panarin and Hedl play so well together. And now if you add Trocheck into that mix, it could be even better. So I could see that happening, but it wouldn't be my first option.
Yeah. I kind of forgot that they experimented with that. That was so long ago. That was a weird season. But all right, Michael coming in here asking me this direct question. I'm not even the one bringing this up. Eric, why don't you like Gaudreau? I'll tell you why I don't like Gaudreau. It's because he skates in circles, he takes penalties, and he plays bad defense. He doesn't score points, and he costs $3.6 million. That could imagine a world where Gaudreau was not making that much money, and he was on a different NHL team. The Rangers very easily could have Vladimir Tarasenko still right now. I know Patrick Kane is a name that's love it or hate it to Rangers fans right now, but either way, without Gaudreau, the Rangers could have afforded Patrick Kane. We could afford anyone. You look at the trade deadline coming up this year, it's very clear that the Rangers are going to need to go out and acquire a right wing. Kind of hard to do that when the amount of cap space you have is less than $1 million, but it'd be a lot easier if you had $3.6 million extra dollars to work with. So that is why I do not like Barclay Goodrow. He does nothing to contribute to the team aside from every once in a while he'll make a good defensive play, but overall not worth what he's making. So I don't know.
He's a good penalty killer, but that's about right around where I stop. And I know the poor guy just spit a chunk of his jaw out the other night. So prayers out to him. Obviously,
that's true. I forgot about that too.
As much as I don't love his play, he's a tough son of a gun. But but 3.6 is just outrageous to be paying anybody even close to your bottom six. It's especially he's a fourth liner, he's not even a third liner. So it's tough. It's very reminiscent to the Islanders' fourth line, how they went from having the best fourth line in hockey to now one of the most overpaid pieces of crap that they consider a fourth line. Outside of Casey Cizikas, Cal Clutterbuck is garbage. Matt Martin is garbage. And they got Ross Johnson floating around in there sometimes. It's bad, but it's because they're all overpaid. And I think that Gaudreau is similar to those guys where he's useful in very few aspects and not useful in many more. I think that he just doesn't bring the negatives outweigh the benefits when he's on the team. And people used to say, and people will still say, you need that pedigree. He's won cups. He's been there. He has the experience. Yeah, well, so has Bonino. And so, I know we're not the best friends with Wheeler, but Wheeler's been in a couple of deep playoff runs. And, Panarin and even a lot of the older Rangers. Kreider has a ton of playoff experience, so much so that he's almost the Rangers' leading goal scorer in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So, and Panarin's had a couple deep runs now. Zibanejad's had some runs. He was on the team back when we were trying to put it together for a cup pre-rebuild. So, you you have a lot of guys who have that experience. So Pitlick was on a deep Blues team and things like that. So you have the guys who have been around long enough where you can kind of tell Goudreau, hey, kick rocks. We want the money and we don't want you. And it would make it so much easier at the deadline to go and get somebody like Frank Vatrano, who Matt Sheridan just brought up in the chat. You know, it would make it a lot easier to go and get somebody like that, as opposed to now, you know, we're going to have to throw in sweeteners, probably a first or a second to get this contract off the books. It would honestly probably take more than that because there's still so much term left on it. I don't know what Drury was thinking when he gave this deal out. It made no sense to me from the start. And every day it continues to bite us in the ass simply because, as I say every time, holy crap, Drury gave Goudreau everything he wanted. He gave him the term, he gave him the money. He probably gave him a house and a car along with it. Like he got everything in that deal, and you know, he doesn't do much. But I know I went on a little bit of a rant there, but that's my TED talk.
No, it's all right. When we talk about these things, it gets heated. I think you explained it a little better than I did. Like Michael here makes the point, like he's got to have something to give him the A. And I guess like, yeah, you can't deny that. He's a leader in the locker room, veteran presence with Stanley Cup winning experience. It's just what he contributes on the ice. That is what doesn't outweigh the paycheck. But Will, I know we're probably going to end up wrapping this up within the next 5 to 10 minutes, but I feel bad you haven't gotten a lot of talking time today. You missed the episode when me and Collin talked about potential trade targets the Rangers could go for on that right wing spot. Frank Vatrano's name is being thrown around by Joe and Matt in the chat right now. What are your thoughts on Vatrano? And do you have any other like sleeper picks that you would want to go for?
I wrote an article about this. Frank Vatrano was one of my names on there, and I would welcome Vatrano with open arms. I loved him here. He was literally, like I said earlier, the perfect player for that first right wing spot. But again, like the person we were just talking about before, Barclay Goodrow is going to stop us from getting that deal unless you give him up, because Frank Vatrano makes, I think his cap hit is 3.36 per year, and he has 2 years left on his contract. So he has term, and that AAV is pretty high. And I know the Ducks will not be retaining 50% because obviously there's 2 years left on that deal. Tarasenko is another name that has been brought up. I don't know. I mean, obviously the Senators are kind of heating up right now, and it's early in the season with them, and I know they're close to 500. A sleeper name that I like is Anthony Duclair. I think I would love to have him back on this team. I think he's another one of those guys where you know what you're getting with him, and he's also a shoot first mentality player, and he really did well against us when we played them last. I think it was last Sunday last Sunday or Saturday. So I'm hopeful that we get Duclair. That's my number one trade target right now. I just started laughing because Collin just said, someone said Gaudreau can drive the Zamboni and Collin goes for free. Hopefully, that was pretty funny. He could be a $3.65 million Zamboni driver.
That's just crazy. I know, like we were talking about it before. Last thing on the Gaudreau thing. I get he's a locker room guy. He's an assistant captain and whatnot. 3.6 is a lot for a locker room guy. You know, yeah. I'm okay with giving. You know, if the whole team loves Blake Wheeler, I'm totally cool with $850K against the cap. But, you know, you're literally multiplying it by almost 3 or 4, and it makes it nearly impossible to just ignore the black hole that he has become on the ice.
Yeah.
Black hole is a good way to describe it.
I want to say something about Gaudreau, too. You know, Gaudreau makes 3.6 something million. When you have a guy like Johnny Brodzinski that's sitting in the AHL for $3 million cheaper, that's why you do not sign Barclay Goodrow, because you can have a guy like Pitlick who is $800,000, Jimmy Vesey who's $800,000 a year, who plays better than spendable in the Goodrow, Nick Bonino for $800,000. That's exactly why you do not a fourth liner to a $3 million 6-year $3 million contract. There's always an options that you can get for or cheaper. It was BS when we gave him that contract. I was so mad.
That was beautifully said, Will.
Will I cannot dance.
Oh my God, 1,000. Are we kidding? My entire speech just a waste?
No, we got it, but it was real
Oh,
choppy.
good.
But
I think the general message was sent across. It's just if I was like a translator, I would have a hard time.
Well,
But
to anyone that doesn't speak fluent English watching this and needs a translator, I'm very sorry.
he'll type it out in the closed captioning after.
of course, Will's working overtime. He's not watching the game.
Yeah, I'm like sitting here. What the hell am I saying?
It is 6:45 though, so I do want to start to wrap things up here. To everyone watching, start spamming your final scores down in the live chat. We'll go over our final score predictions, and then we'll end it off with the infamous Will parlay that every one of you watching should definitely bet on throughout the game. I think the defense, it's going to be better, but it's not going to be perfect against a deep Leafs team. And I think we're going to score a lot of goals. I'm going to say 4-3 victory for the Rangers. Maybe even an overtime victory. 4-3.
Matt almost just read your mind. He was so close.
Collin, you go next.
All righty. I'm thinking I don't really love their decor. I don't love their goalies. They have a lot of good forwards. They're really deep in that aspect, but they just lost to the New York Islanders. You know, I'm not like going to say this is going to go and be an easy game. It's definitely not, but this is definitely a winnable game. I think the defense just needs to play lights out. They need to pretend like Quick is in net and play that lockdown defense that we know they're capable of, and not get comfortable because they have a world-class goalie in net. And I think if they do that, I think I have to agree with Matt. I think it's going to be a 5-3 win. And I'm excited to see if they can string together a couple of good games coming off of a really good game against a strong Kings team that was not only really solid offensively, but really solid defensively, putting up 4 goals on them and holding them to 1 on a fluky power play because of a bunch of guys in the box. I won't get too much into that, but I think that's a really strong game, and I think they can build off that. And I'm excited to see how they perform tonight.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Matt says 5-3 Rangers, Kill Gill 3-2 Rangers, Joe says 6-3 Rangers. Pike's Wrath thinks that the Maple Leafs are going to beat the Rangers 4-3 in overtime. So my score, but opposite winner. We'll see what happens, because I like that. I like to see some like controversial takes here in the chat that maybe the Rangers won't win every game, but fingers crossed that they do. All right, Will, send us home. What's your final score prediction, and what's the parlay that I need to bet on tonight?
I'm not going to do a crazy parlay today. I want to be a little more realistic than the last couple games.
No Benino?
No Igor goal.
All right.
No Igor goal. No Riley Nash.
Crap. Nah. Okay.
Riley Nash.
3-2 Rangers. Jimmy Vesey is going to score 1. I don't know. Something about Jimmy Vesey. I got a feeling he scored a sick little goal. Benino made a great play at the blue line. He kept it in, and then he scored a sick little goal going 5-hole on Copley. I think it's been a little bit since Kreider scored. I think he gets a sick little feed from Panarin on the power play. And then I think they go into overtime, and I think the Rangers win in a shootout.
Interesting.
I'm going to go with the shootout.
My heart doesn't like it, but
no, me either. I'd probably be shitting
the
myself.
fact that they win will make it easier on me at the end of the night. But
so to all of the sports bettors out there, what you guys need to bet on is a VC goal, a Kreider goal, a Panarin assist,
Let's go with
under
assist.
5.5 goals scored, yes to go to a shootout, and Rangers money line.
And if you lose your money, please don't come to my house. It's not my fault. I'm not the one betting your money.
I'm gonna leak Will's address to the entire
I'll
chat.
leak it myself, man. Don't tempt me.
Will says Wheeler goal, Kreide's power play. I'm assuming goal, and Foxy goal. That'd be kind of cool.
I like that one.
Blake Wheeler, this is your time to prove us wrong. But and I'm good to wrap this up, unless you two have something you want to say in a final message here.
I'm chilling.
Will,
All I got working on is a Jonathan Quick story in the making. So that's about it.
Make sure to tune into that one, everybody.
Yeah, be sure to check out empiresportsmedia.com for more articles written by me and Will. Every once in a while, Collin will cook something up, but it's been a little bit.
Very rare, very rare. I'm more of a talking podcast personality more so than a writer.
Of course. Hey, everyone has their different things. But thank you to everyone who tuned into tonight's live stream. Hopefully the Rangers will walk away from this game with another victory. But I think the last time I phrased an outro like that, we did lose. So I'm going to change that up. Thank you to everyone who's watched today's episode. The Rangers are going to win. It's not a question. It's not a hope. That's like, I'm putting it down. We're going to win.
The Eric guarantee.
That's the guarantee. And if I'm wrong, I'll retire. This will be my last episode because you guys might not enjoy my content anymore. But make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss notification. Make sure to come back to this video throughout the game. The live chat will probably be over, but you can comment your thoughts. I do go through and read them throughout the game to see how everyone's feeling. Pike's Wrath says, if it goes to a shootout, the Rangers will win. Enjoy the game, everyone. Joe also says, enjoy the game. Of course, everyone, enjoy the game. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a notification. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers on both Instagram and X for updates throughout the game, because we'll be a lot more active on those throughout the contest. But last thing I'll say right here, Michael says Lafreniere is going to score. Thank you to everyone watching. Have a good night, and
Let's
go
go
Rangers.